Now I want to know what happened to the pizza. How do you all know about it? Well, I want a piece of the information here. Let's see.
So it's been a while since I talked about one of your favourite hobbies, one you hold near and dear to your heart, but can't let anyone else in your life know about it due to the risk of people viewing you like a walking defecation,
the worst you can say is no.
And your family somewhat disowning you. No, this video isn't about your War Thunder addiction. And don't worry, this is the last time I will on the War Thunder community. I pinky promise. But a lot of this community probably does play War Thunder anyway.
I've seen a lot of people play War Thunder. I didn't know that it was that popular. There's a lot of people streaming it.
And surprisingly, if they all disappeared, we'd probably have a shortage of military personnel, programmers, and engineers in the world.
Every furry is so good at IT and smart and rich. I don't know how it happens. Do they just like spec into IT knowledge on spawn?
And some say this community ranges from a few 100,000 to millions. So someone you know could be a part of this community. And apparently most of them—
Not me, by the way, not me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. But if there's furries in chat, like I've said previously, it's okay, because if you're not hurting anybody, I support you, okay? I support you. Just keep doing what you're doing if you're having fun and not clogging toilets with stuff.
reside in America. Just saying, if you didn't drop the T, you probably wouldn't have this problem and would still have your foreskin. But this community is probably the most targeted and discriminated group on the internet. Obviously, outside of things like race, sexual preference, and gender maybe. But this is the animal—
See, maybe I sympathize with furries because I'm a League of Legends player. And I'm used to the hatred, okay? I'm not hurting anybody playing League, but you guys let me know I'm the worst human in the world every time I mention League of Legends.
cosplaying Toontown-looking Conker's Bad Fur Day inspired
Oh, I like
Lola
that game.
Bunny interested.
Okay,
yes,
she's
that
hot.
makes you part of the community. If you ever held
I'm
any
not a furry
interest
anymore,
in
but she's
Lola
hot.
Bunny, you're a part of the community now. No ifs or buts about it, you're in denial. But this is the furry community, which has been on the internet for a while now, some saying even before the creation of things like Reddit. Fairies are mainly described as anthropomorphic characters, and if you lack skill points and intelligence, it's basically animals with human characteristics.
Yeah.
There are many classes of fairies though. You've got normal fairies.
How many furries are there? Furries, scalies. What would you call like a aquatic furry, like a fish, like fishies? I don't think fishies is right, but there has to be something for like aquatic furries. I've never seen a furry fish.
Fairies that have no fur at all. They just look like those cats that are overgrown testicles. Similarly, you have scalies that are based on things like lizards and dragons.
I knew that
Avians, which are like birds, and for the
avians.
50th time, I'm not an avian or a fairy. It's not a duck, it's not a hedgehog, it's not a beaver. You must have advanced glaucoma if you think that. It is just a cute bird I found in my wall. Anyway, you also have the lesser known fishies, the buggies or—
Wait, they're actually called fishies? And then those are buggies? Okay, what happened to the naming convention? It slowly turned into Smash-like naming. What do they call it when you 1v1 someone in Smash again? It's something like a battley or something. I can't remember.
insect fairies, and the fairy femboys. Many fairies express themselves through their personas, their own fairy avatar of sorts, which they represent through things like art or their very own fursuit, which are very expensive.
They're
Most of these
really
people—
expensive. And I always think that they have to be so hot in there. I hope that they're installing fans or something. Like, it's gotta be sweating it up.
must be oil tycoons to afford this stuff, but since its conception, at least on the internet, it has grown exponentially.
How much was yours? Guys, I'm not a furry anymore. I was 10. But I did try to make my own fursuit, and it turned out so bad, I threw it away and I cried. But I told you I'm reformed, man!
Over the years, but so has the hatred for it. Many hold a distaste for fairies, following the negative stigma surrounding it, viewing most members of the community as degenerate heathens, with many assuming people a part of this community want to do things with actual animals.
Yeah, that's bad.
Which is mainly due to the actions and events surrounding more infamous fairy members, and groups like zoos.
Zoophilia! Sexual attraction towards non-human animals. Specifically, which leads to the action of— They said the B word and it wasn't blue guy.
which we've talked about before, and even the furry community itself detests these people and strongly refuses association with them. It is quite easy to find anti-furry sentiment on the internet, labelled anti-furs, some wishing physical harm upon furries.
Oh my god!
I personally judge furries not by the fur on their skin, but by their actions.
I agree. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Send me a pipe bomb in the mail. I know a lot of you are very capable of doing so and could probably form your own militia.
They definitely have the money to be affording all that.
Group at this point, but I assure you, I'm just joking around. But from my personal...
I don't think I'm anti-fur. I think I'm anti-asshole in general. Like, if you're an asshole, I probably don't like you. I think the only rule in my Twitch chat is don't be a jerk. That's it. That's like my only requirement.
Interactions with furries, most of them are normal, albeit they are very enthusiastic about the topic. But from what I've seen, it's just a hobby, and they mainly just get bad rep due to that stigma.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I
the
agree.
furry group, as said before, has grown a lot
I have circle
over the
glasses
years,
like that.
to the point where they have their own events like FurCons, which thousands attend per event. And for some reason, some of them...
Like, this is what I explained before. Like, when I was younger, I really liked anime and video games and stuff. But back then, it wasn't very normal. Like, you had to basically watch any anime when it came out, no subs, and hope to God somebody fan subbed it, okay? You prayed every day somebody would get their hands on your favorite anime and put some subtitles on it. But I think that maybe these furry conventions are kind of the same way. Like, they feel like that's the only place they can find people who understand them, because being a furry is not really mainstream.
Summon the fifth sin of
That's
gluttony.
the way anime conventions used to be. Is that a pizza?
But furry conventions...
Wait, was that the pizza you guys were talking about? Everybody in chat just said pizza aware, and I don't know what you guys are talking about. But now that I heard the boss music and saw pizza on top of somebody's head, I'm a little scared.
Are something I wanted to talk about today because a lot of them had their fair share of controversies, and once again, I keep getting Instagram Reels
Is that booba on that thing? She got bigger booba than me!
referring to the topic. How many of my videos have been inspired from Instagram Reels serving me pure slop? But I do miss the person I was before this video.
That's
mainly
not
after
hard.
finding out about the pizza party of October 2021.
Oh, here's the pizza! Okay. Is that Roller Coaster Tycoon music?
Furry conventions are a lot like most other conventions. An overcrowded hotel or convention center with barely
I love stores that only sell french fries. Because I'm a freak who likes mayo on my french fries. But I've heard that EU people do that.
any air conditioning, and the same can be said for deodorant and correct hygiene.
Oh wait, there's
As a
mayo
matter
right
of fact, most conventions, especially anime conventions, probably have their own putrid AoE effect, emitting gamma radiation enough to erode the insides of your nose. Most organizers
Sorry, that was
actually
my
have to
fan dub of
remind
that.
convention goers to wear deodorant, which is, it's something.
This is my Shark Tank. Actually, this is my pitch to anybody who will take it. What people should do is for merch for VTubers, you should sell your own deodorant with a sexy like pinup of the VTuber on it. I think that would sell like nuts, like crazy. And then if you really want to, go to a convention, set up a booth of VTuber deodorant. People probably buy it for their friends as a joke.
But as said, furry conventions are set up like many other conventions. There's panels, small events, stalls for items like art, even a black market for adult items. But furry conventions are unique in that way.
Those are
where
huge
other convention
plushies.
black markets probably have things like naked body pillows and that's it. But
yeah!
furry conventions have bad dragons. And apparently
They sell Bad Dragon at conventions? Oh my god!
it's a hobby to collect them now. I
Yeah.
personally don't know why you'd want to tickle your colon, but you do you. But how are fairy cons different from things like Comic Cons, Anime Cons, and Brony Cons? Well, obviously, it's
yeah,
down
there
to
is
the
a Brony
fact
convention.
most of the attendees are wearing fursuits. Compared to anime conventions where you would see cosplayers you'd probably recognize,
Yeah.
at a furry convention
was
you
cool.
probably won't recognize most characters.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, this guy carrying the other person in the fursuit is actually so swole. That's like an extra 50 pounds just from the suit.
Due to the fact most of them are their own creations and their own
so they feel
OCs.
attached.
And there are a variety of builds. You've got the people that don't wear any suits at all,
Yeah.
and are just there for the experience. You've got ones that only wear their heads because they can't afford the down payment for the rest of the...
$200 start. That is crazy. That is so much. And you can only really wear it at a convention. Where else can you wear a fursuit? I think there's like some furries who go to like children's hospitals and stuff. I always thought that was kind of nice.
The suit. You've got the full fursuits. Some that are even modified to have AC units within them.
What I was asking.
Then you've got fursuits that look like they have a whole Abrams tank in their stomach. And looking like Executioner's Small, who appear to be either fat or...
It looks like there's somebody in there. I think it's Furry 4. Please, please, please. Oh my god.
or somewhat pregnant. These are called fat furs, supposedly most times a form of adiophilia, which is an attraction to gaining weight. I personally don't get it. You'd probably need to refer to a professional in this subject.
I didn't know that.
But there are a lot of furry cons that occur, once again, mostly in America.
Okay, ain't no way.
But there are a lot of furry cons.
Not the Vaporeon plush. Is that for the reason I think it is?
That occur, once again, mostly in America. You have cons like Anthro New England, Midwinter Frolic Anthro Expo, and Fair Squared, all happening this year. There's even VR furry cons now.
That furry is looking into my eyes!
Like Furality hosted on VRChat, which apparently has its own private server, and was said to be very well prepared with its own worlds.
Oh,
a
look
lot
at the
of these
birds.
conventions are non-profit and encourage donations to chosen charities for that
more pizza.
convention. I would go so
lick
far as
me!
to say most furry conventions are
That one
fairly
looks
normal
devious. He's
in
thinking
terms of
something
structure
wild.
and events. However, some conventions have seen their fair share of controversies, to the point where, like furries themselves, furry cons carry a negative stigma surrounding them,
Is it Dio?
especially from outside of the community. And to be honest, giving the benefit of the doubt with the ones I looked into, and one I thought was completely fictional and at most an urban legend, I can see why some people aren't completely sold on furry conventions, even when a majority of them are nothing like any of these. But the first
It must suck to feel like you're competing against a very negative stereotype.
controversy surrounding a furry con I wanted to talk about is said urban legend. And if you're watching this video whilst eating, this is going to be a good tolerance test for your appetite.
I'm not eating, I'm fine, I'm not eating, I'm not eating, I'm not eating.
But first, I need to warn you about something else. Something that will have your nuts quaking with excitement. Something even you furries out there can enjoy. We have once again partnered with Gamersubs with their new Kaiju Trend Drop, which brings a new cup, apparel, and even a stuffed animal. No, there isn't any Femboy cups announced by Gamersubs yet, you sick. But this is a limited time product, so get it whilst you can. And do be warned, a lot of Gamersubs stock does sell out pretty fast, so it might be gone by the time you get this. Don't blame me. Recently I'm still enjoying my guacamole gamerfar inspired by Russian Badger, but I have developed a taste-
That's Russian Badgers?! We just watched the very first Russian Badger video I've ever seen today. I have that! What?! Wow, small world, man. I have that.
For their new banana propaganda tub.
Oh my god, is that a banana
completely
labuba?
sold on buying a tub for yourself, they do have sample packs that are free so you can find the taste for you. Use code ROYAL at checkout for 10% off your order, or just click the link in the description. And going back to the video, we'll be talking about a newly discovered
Did you see the JoJo cups? Yeah, I got 2 of them. I got Jotaro and I got Giorno.
flavor you will not enjoy hearing about at all.
It's under the sauce.
Oh, here's the pizza. Extra sauce pizza. Guys, please tell me there's no baby batter on this. Please, no baby batter.
The sauce.
Now, as said before, the first controversy I thought was a little hoax, a little joke, a little trolling, if you will. Because I thought nobody in their right mind would do this. It's a joke I even included in my previous videos. And imagine my horror when I found out it was a canon event within this current timeline. And it didn't even happen too long ago. It's even that popular it has its own wiki page describing the events in detail.
Wiki page for an event is wild. Guys, please tell me there's a wiki page for that girl who sat in the bathtub at a convention and painted herself to look like a Homestuck character. Please, please, please.
Detail. And disturbingly enough, there is even a video of these war crimes occurring. But what happened? So it was October 2021.
You're kidding. I thought that this was going to be a story from like 2012. 2021?
COVID at the time was almost over, and the world was slowly returning back to normal, and fairy cons were following that trend. The convention Biggest Little Fair Con 2021, held in Nevada, was just wrapping up its own convention, which was very successful. It had plenty of attendees and raised a lot of money for charities like no-kill shelters for animals, and was like every other fair con. But little did the organisers know their event would be known for something else. After the conclusion of Biggest Little Fair Con, there was another party just starting. An unofficial after party for the convention, if you will. It was advertised a few days prior to the fair con starting, with multiple tweets and even a PowerPoint presentation. And surprisingly enough, it was a pizza party of sorts. Because it wasn't a normal pizza party. First of all, there was only one pizza, and only one person from what we...
If that's baby batter, I'm actually gonna puke. In his mouth?
know was actually going to eat the pizza out of 19 attendees in a small hotel room. Now, only one person consuming the pizza wasn't down to the fact it was like a disgusting pizza like pineapple. I still believe if you like...
I think there's banana pizza. I don't know where that is. I think it's like EU. I think we talked about this before, but I know there's banana pizza. One pizza that I would try is French fry pizza. I think they do that somewhere too. Yeah, Sweden is the banana pizza. Pineapple on pizza is a crime. I tried pineapple on pizza one time. I think it was for like a sub thing. And it was alright. Like, if it was the only food left in the world, I would eat it, but I would never order it.
Like that, you deserve to be kneecapped with salt rock shells. And it wasn't down to the fact it was a Papa John's pizza, although this would be...
That's the garlic sauce! Guys, I had Papa John's garlic sauce and I spilled it on my mixer for my audio and it exploded and I had to buy a new one.
Free advertising for Papa John's in the future. But this was intended because only one person was going to eat it because of the ingredients, which was very unconventional at the time. These fairies were the Christopher Columbus of discovering new flavors, because the process of producing said flavor was all 19 attendees gathering around the pizza and adding their own extra...
At least you know it's organic, I guess.
Topping to said pizza, that being their own lineage, their own genetic code, their own baby goo, some would say. They all noted on the food.
Wait, I have to go back. Wait. Wait to be a doctor. Like, I can't wait to be a doctor like Dad. We're on a pizza.
Baby goo, some would say.
Oh my god.
They all noted on the pizza. All the attendees knew this was going to happen. An open invite to do this activity was posted on Twitter, inviting people to...
They asked on Twitter? Okay, the same important question goes for my AD friends who actually down to on my pizza wines. I need at least 20 participants. Please reply if you want to contribute your or if you're very disgusted and confused but weirdly. Also, is that not biblical levels of greed? I need 20 people. You should be happy at least one mother sucker agreed to this. 20 is a lot.
To come thicken the crust of their pizza. And what's worse is somebody actually ate the pizza.
Stuffed crust.
And there is a video to corroborate it.
Who up stuffing they crust right now?
Obviously, I can't show you the video. Because one, some of them have their sauce squirters still out, and one has theirs in a cage for some reason.
Oh, they're
you can actually see the human bodily fluid sitting on top of the cheese like separated oil. Now, the person that posted this and created the event, to no one's surprise, was a fairy porn creator. Believe me, I looked at the Twitter, and it is just straight up 24/7 porn. Oh, yeah.
They were probably so happy likes got removed. They're like, thank God nobody can see my stash. Well, maybe they just started retweeting. They're like, you cannot escape. You will see the yiffening upon your timeline.
Yiffing, as the fairies call it. I've never seen so many fairballs. But this historical event was in celebration of them reaching 2,000 followers on Twitter. I don't know what their celebration for 10k is going to be. Maybe a free-use glory hole with vagabonds. But this event itself caused a lot of backlash. First, due to what happened to the pizza afterwards, as the participants joked they left the cum pizza in the hallway for potentially others to find. But after people gave them shit for doing this, they quickly clarified they disposed of the pizza, and the whole hallway thing was part of the joke, although some people were skeptical. The next fallout was the fact this event was broadcasted all over the internet. It was spread within and outside the furry community, especially due to things like the memes that were generated from it, like the pizza being in the hallway.
Huh, why is there a perfectly good pizza out in the hallway? Who would waste food like this? Oh my god, I'm like staring around the corner.
And the pizza itself. The potential consequence of this was that people outside the community may think this is normal for fairies to do, and may assume the worst of them, buying into the stereotype that all fairies must be degenerates. Even people within the community were criticising the creator, as they also thought it would add to the negative stigma surrounding fairies.
For them.
Overall, this event left a stain on the reputation of Biggest Little FairCon,
and a stain
at
on
least
my
for the year of
pizza, too.
2021. It also caused some trouble for other events as well, as some people were making custom badges referencing the event and requesting an invitation to the next one. The creator did receive their fair share of hate for this. Once again, it possibly affected the
I hope your parents find this. I'm gonna show my parents and they're going to laugh and hug me. Okay, what? You should never show your parents this, and why do you think they would approve? That is some cope. That can't be real. That can't be real.
reputation of fairies as a whole, due to the fact this story reached a lot of people, and it became a whole ass meme. And the creator of it was banned from a few other fairy cons, albeit temporarily.
They're like on one of those walls where the picture's like right there, and they're like, do not let this guy in.
But it didn't directly harm anyone, except for the fact they probably didn't screen participants for STDs, which they probably should have. But the next one I wanted to talk about actually did do some damage.
Lake of chlorine.
What's
gas.
a furry?
What? Chlorine attack? What the hell is going on?
Did I get that wrong?
leaked there? Oh, gosh.
Okay.
But this event took place at the Midwest Fairfest convention in
I like the logo.
2014. An event that usually operates from December 5th to the 7th. A convention, once again, like every other fairy convention, with around 4,500 attendees.
That's a lot. Like,
usually
you would need an extra large pizza for that.
held in a large hotel. This year wasn't really going to stand out like any other year, or any other fairy convention, until it did, and it could have possibly led to people dying.
Oh my god!
On December 7th, the convention was going ahead, and everything seemed normal until around 12 o'clock, where people began to smell things like bleach and chlorine, some even saying it smelled like a swimming pool. Many of the event attendees and hotel staff began to complain about irritations in their eyes and breathing, so the emergency services were called. And later a hazmat team arrived to identify the cause of the smell, where it was discovered there was a broken glass container containing chlorine powder on the 9th floor stairwell.
This is insane. Like, this is so much planning. Why?
Now, chlorine powder can be fatal if you're exposed to it for an extended amount of time in an enclosed space with no ventilation. So the event and hotel as a whole were quickly evacuated.
At this point, I've seen 2 furry videos about these conventions now. As like a hotel owner, it's making a deal with the devil to say that they can have their convention here. And it sucks for the people who follow the rules, but man, why is there so much biological warfare coming from these conventions?
Including people that were not even taking part in the event. Everyone was forced outside onto the street, where news reporters quickly arrived to cover the story. 19 people were hospitalized with respiratory issues relating to exposure to the chlorine, and it took until 5 AM for the chemical to be removed and the hotel properly ventilated, where they started letting people back into the hotel. The good thing about this event was nobody died,
Thank
And it's a good thing
God.
the emergency services were called when they were,
Good.
limiting the amount of people exposed and harmed by the substance. Now, why was there chlorine powder at a fairy
Yeah,
event?
why?
Well, I initially thought it was down to the cleaning staff for accidentally spilling something. But where would cleaning staff get pure chlorine to the
I
point
don't
where it would
know.
actually kill somebody? It's like saying they had access to, like, Novichok or something. Well, apparently it wasn't incidental, but intentional.
Wow.
According to the emergency services, it appeared that somebody purposely did this. Somebody went to the convention and purposely broke a glass container, releasing the dangerous substance.
Oh my God.
But nobody knew why. Were they targeting the fairies or somebody else at the
Yeah.
hotel?
Was this the guy who was throwing diapers?
Well, even to this day, nobody knows, because nobody
got
was
away with
caught
it?
or arrested for the crime. But one of the most
Wow.
controversial factors, except for people possibly dying, was the coverage of the situation by news outlets,
Yeah.
specifically by MSNBC. Due to the fact when the newscasters were covering the event,
Me when I heard about the pizza.
they began laughing at their newfound discovery that we're fairies.
Hospitalized at a furry convention in Illinois
I can't even report on it.
after what's being called an
What's a
intentional leak of
It's a furry. This is like trying to explain anime to your grandma because you want something for Christmas.
chlorine
What's a
gas.
furry?
Did I get that wrong?
Along with convention attendees into the cold night, many still dressed in their furry costumes. Hotel was
Where you going?
Contaminated.
Hey!
Guests came back
Come
inside
back.
at 4 a.m.
way!
Police still
Come back.
the matter as a criminal
Could you
investigation.
check on Mika, see if she's okay? She's over there.
This guy must have already known what fairies are, or just
Yeah.
has the most magnificent poker face. However, some people within the fairy community didn't like this, as you know, people could have died.
Okay, yeah. I just think they're so flabbergasted by the whole situation. I don't think they meant it mean. I feel like you can tell when people are being mean about something, but I think they're actually just shocked.
And this was a serious event,
Yeah.
but these guys were kind of just laughing at the fact that
Yeah.
they just discovered a fairy. And some people attributed this event and the coverage of it to how much people hate fairies overall, or just don't understand them. Also, the event organizers didn't offer a refund at all. However, the next
What?
convention, although it was significantly less
I always say this, but this is the American. Sue, 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 Sue. Storm has a nice butt.
dangerous than the one I just mentioned, it didn't show the fairy community in the best light.
Not even the carrion eaters are interested in your radiated corpse.
Oh,
Rainfurrest
Rainfurrest!
Con in 2015 was a con where the fairy community looked like absolute fiends, mainly due to
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. Like, they definitely should have taken it a little bit more serious. Yeah, they could probably, like, find somebody who knew what a furry was. Do you think people who work on the news know what a furry is? Do you think you could find one person who knows what a furry is? Maybe. But then how do you bring that up? Like, do you know what a furry is? We really need somebody to report on this.
their shenanigans, said shenanigans that were conducted like they were trained in guerrilla warfare, with how much damage they caused from this, which may have contributed to the fact that said con was never hosted again and was suspended indefinitely. So Rainfurrest Con 2015 was a fairy convention held in a Hilton hotel near the Seattle SeaTac Airport in Washington. Having stayed in a Hilton hotel myself, it is
Yeah.
definitely RNG. Some Hiltons
That's
will be
true.
the best stay of your life, and some others you would think you were staying
my
at a cheap
God!
motel with curb
Looks like Resident Evil ass room. Hi, thanks for coming by.
copious amounts of pubic hairs and semen stains.
Ugh.
There is no in between. But that year the theme was swords and sorcery, and in the opening ceremony, in conjunction with the theme, the organisers dispelled the rumour that the FairCon was under an evil curse.
I'm absolutely sure there is no truth to the rumor that Rainfurrest is under an evil curse.
Little did they know it
I
was
can't believe
under
an
an evil
organizer
curse,
saying
as
that's
all
funny.
of the 7 sins were about to be committed.
All
Within
of
the few
them?
days the event was active. There were a lot of things that happened at this event, but to save your time, so you can go back to whatever mundane activities you had to do today, here's a short list of what happened.
Okay. All of
Somebody
them?
purposely flooded a public toilet within the
Gross.
hotel by messing with the screws that
Doo-doo
kept
water.
it secure, and even flooded the basement. They broke one of the elevators of the hotel. They threw multiple towels into a hot tub
Horrible.
and blocked the main hot tub pipe, so it was permanently damaged and required repairs. There were
Horrible.
reports of filled diapers being
No
shoved
crinklers
into
allowed.
toilets and left on top of cars, some
Ugh.
saying the smell was terrible. People
Yeah.
were going out in public in adult diapers and
No.
BDSM gear. Someone allegedly shat in the pool and left a floating log in it. Smoke detectors were removed from some rooms, obviously so they could smoke within their own room.
Yeah.
Litter and fairy stickers were left all around the hotel, some showing NSFW.
I like how every time he says furry, the subtitles say fairy. He was a fairy.
Fairy yiffing or something. There were reports of drug dealing, apparent drug overdoses,
What?
and copious amounts of alcohol consumption.
Yeah, that's
Some
every convention.
attendees were said to be pissing on the beds, and
On purpose?
most rooms were severely damaged or required a lot of cleaning. That is just a short list, by the way. This event was an absolute disaster. Or was it? Now, in recent
was
years,
it?
there have been a lot of videos about this
Hey, what's that
convention.
internet historian
Many
video?
saying the same things I just said. Although I did miss the part where they apparently drilled a glory hole in the toilet. That would have been my favourite part to cover. But there is a lot of contention to some of the claims made. First, some of the people that supposedly attended it claim there has been a lot of misinformation spread about the con, intentionally by some fairies that do this at other cons.
Okay.
You'll notice that in a lot of, let's say, videos and other places that have covered Rainfurrest, you'll notice that there's one Twitter account that shows up multiple times that
Spam the board. Oh,
that
that's this
was
guy?
somehow able to catch and document so many of these things that were happening that they just so happened to be right in front of.
Not the squat in front of the diaper. Were you putting this on MySpace?
A Twitter user by the name of just made a bunch of shit up.
I tried looking for the Twitter user they were talking about, but they apparently don't exist anymore, at least when
Oh.
I tried. Although there was a big drug problem at the event, which even the organisers years later admitted to.
It lists a bunch of bullet points about
Oh, God.
things that they had a problem with.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that was your movie Suck. Oh, I'd never seen that guy before.
let's start with, if there is 10, I don't know that there's 10, I think there might be more or less. Only 2 of those bullet points did not talk about drugs. So, in my mind,
I didn't know furries did so many drugs, man. That's nuts. I didn't know that.
drugs was the major
They're
problem.
probably making new
Second,
ones.
events like the diapers and BDSM wear in public were supposedly outside a fairy kink festival, so they weren't just walking around all day like this. I don't know if that's positive PR or negative
Guys, please do not subject innocent bystanders to watching your fetish live. I can't believe that has to be said.
PR, but yep, okay. But it was said that some of the claims were created by trolls within the community.
At ours, there was one bathroom that got flooded,
Yeah.
and some people spread the rumor or said that it was sabotage.
It was
and
like
other people
poo-poo
just said
Pompeii.
It was a big guy sitting on the toilet and it broke. So,
What?
yeah, it's a 50-50, who knows. Vandalism was like a very minor part. Never in the entire duration of us being at Rainfurrest did the hotel ever approach us about paying for any damages to public
Okay.
spaces. Vandalism was not talked about in that letter.
But there definitely was a drug problem, and the event did eventually get shut down.
But other things that were talked about were things like 2,000 nitrous oxide cartridges.
2,000 is insane. Where are they getting this? There has to be a whipped cream shortage in this entire area. 2,000.
Just left there. 2 drug overdoses that required ambulances.
Oh my God.
The quote-unquote week-long party. So
He feels like he's everybody in the room's dad telling them they're about to be grounded.
a drug arrest in the adjacent parking lot.
flashbang!
A
Sorry.
person that police believed has
Oh,
ties.
did the screen say give flashback? How did you know I was going to overreact to a simple thing?
A drug arrest in the adjacent parking lot, a person that police believed has ties to the Rainfurrest group. So again, and that was a drug dealing arrest.
Wow.
So this is sort of where it got a bit extreme for Rainfurrest.
Sorry, keep moving my headphones.
A staff member was reported to have sexually assaulted a female. The responding sheriff charged the man. Can't get too much into what happened. It happened in a public space.
Oh my
So we called the
God.
police. As soon as we found out, we called the hotel in. As soon as we found out, the sheriff came over. He was handcuffed, brought to the car, and then unhandcuffed and let go. I don't know what the status of any charges are. It's, a guest room smoke detector was tampered with and discarded in a guest corridor. Yep. And that is, unfortunately, one that is very serious.
Wow.
And allegedly, some people within the community were sending this information to any hotel and convention they were looking at for the next event. So they just couldn't find a place for the next convention or to move this convention.
But you guys said that could have been the same guy who
Where
was
we
causing
have
problems there.
decided that we're going to try to find a new venue. We go around, we try to find a new venue.
I don't know if you decided that or if you were forced to, though. Ain't no way.
Couldn't find anything in the local area.
Oh my God.
It seemed strange, almost as if like they were being talked to. And so then we go to Spokane, and that's when we find out for sure that there is a furry out there who is sending letters to...
I don't know, the way they said it was funny. Like he was like some furry vigilante. The vigilante velociraptor is out there. Watch out for the suspicious scaly.
Every potential venue for Rainfurrest.
But that is the other side of the story, so to speak. I personally wasn't there. I was a little spam cell playing Call of Duty Black Ops 3 at the time, but I would have loved if that glory hole story was true. It would have been so
He
funny.
really likes the glory hole story.
How does a glory hole at a fairy convention work? Like, is there a flap on the front, or does the fair just get stuck in there? It's a conundrum.
And don't some animals have really weird, like, appendages?
So in conclusion, these were some of the more notable fairy conventions
Knuckles.
that may have generated the negative stigma surrounding fairies and fairy cons. I don't think all fairy cons are like this.
Yeah.
But from what I have seen, most fairy conventions are normal. Although I've never taken part in it because, once again, not a part of that community. But I think some content creators that have actually investigated fairy cons in person discover pretty quickly there's nothing nefarious happening at most of these events. And in some cases, they end up looking like the weird ones.
Gonna get on me. Almighty Tim, make us furries! Yeah!
Fairies, as always, still have a negative stigma around them. Some saying they're all degenerates due to some members of the community, but hey,
yes,
that was true. It's also true that every Hearts of Iron player is a femboy. Also, do not deposit your seed onto consumable items for the love of God, even if you're bulking and need that protein boost. Just don't do it. But yeah, that's all I had to say, and bye-bye.
Well, that was good. Oh, I just clicked space, sorry. That was interesting. I'm glad that I got a synopsis on all of Furry Convention and Furry Kind. Thank you, Recommended, for showing me that, you know, sometimes there's some convention debauchery going on. That was interesting.